Hey guys, this is Thomas,
Shane, Sam, and Justin.
and today we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about the Industrial Revolution.
Before the Industrial Revolution, people lived simple, hard-working lives. The majority of people lived on a farm, planting crops and mowing the field for the manor lord. Every week, starting Monday, farmers would relax and enjoy their day, since every weekend it was fun for them to party and stay up late. Monday was known as Saint Monday, meaning they could have a day off and catch up on the work they would do during the week. It was their choice. Advantages for the farmers were that they could gather all the common resources surrounding the farm. For example, berries, food, wood, fuel. The majority of farmers lived in a manner that was leased or squatted. During these times, the government controlled the economy mainly through mercantilism. This means that the government controlled all of the trades. At this time, there weren't any good roads or trains and any real source of transportation, so communication was limited to most of the people. Messengers were the main source of contact between family members and friends. Although there wasn't many ways of transportation, people had to rely solely on their community to provide the basic needs of living. Since neither the textile revolution or the agricultural revolution didn't exist yet, manufacturing was done in homes. Not many things were made in homes because of the difficulty of making them and the amount of space for creating them. Many more things during the textile revolution. Cottage industries paid piece for piece, producing whole pots, dresses, and shoes.
Moving on to enclosure. Enclosure was basically the enlarging of crop fields so that the land could be worked more efficiently. Instead of all these small, tedious strips of land, the crop was one vast open space. Let's put this into context. Think of a runner. A runner does not take small little strides because it takes more strides to finish the race, causing more work. Instead, the runner must take long strides so that he or she can finish the race with less strides, creating less work. Same concept in enclosure. Bigger field, easier to work, more efficient to work. Great idea in my mind. Why have all these small strips of land when you could just create one large field containing all your crop? Not only were these large crops used for crops, but also common land. Common land was land that could be used by anyone who belonged to that respective village of that land. But common land began to go downhill. Parliament passed laws that allowed common land to be divided up into property. Great, you would think, but really, only the people with some money could afford these pieces of property, which left the poor with no common land, essentially. That pretty much sums up life today in terms of property. Money gets you property, no money doesn't get you property. Poor farmers of the agricultural revolution were hit especially hard. Common land wasn't cheap, and the cows and sheep needed to graze. But since the poor farmers could not afford the common land, their livestock had nowhere to graze. Small farmers started to sell their land because it was getting far too expensive, and more rich farmers bought that land.
Factory life. New invention of the Industrial Revolution made the cottage system obsolete. Most of the new inventions were large and required a source of energy, either water or steam, that individual people cannot provide. The new machines were required to factories to adopt the needs for space and power. Factories changed the way many people, British people, lived and worked. Switch to cottage system. To the factory system affected thousands and thousands of people. It created vast new cities, with factory workers living in large housing developments. The factory system made Britain a wealthy country, but it was brutally hard on workers. Since individual people couldn't remain in their communities to spin and weave, they had to go to the factories, usually located in the larger cities. In the factories, many different parts of the manufacturing process were carried out under one roof. It made sense to centralize as many parts of manufacturing as possible. Most factory owners cared little about the people who labored long hours in their noisy, dangerous, and dirty buildings. In fact, labor was part of overhead. The expense of a business has to pay out before it can count on its profits. They tended to try to lower this expense by paying extremely low wages. They also avoided making improvements that would make working conditions better. Any money spent on workers would cut into profits. As a result, the early factory age produced some appealing conditions in which people were forced to work. Child labor. Children were enduring the terrible working conditions of the industrial revolution. Poor children went into the labor force because they had no other choice, no money to buy food. Education was not compulsory, so very few working class children could read or write. Also, in order to survive, poor families needed every person to work at the earliest possible age. Wages were so low that parents could not make ends meet. Children were particularly useful workers in some industries such as textile factories and mine shafts because of their small size. Many children were employed to run in and out of the working of pumps. They could get their small hands into the workings of the machines to pick out loose threads or tangle. Chimney cleaners also employed small boys who were sent up into the chimneys of large homes and businesses to clean out or sweep. Working class children as well as adults suffered physically from their home and factory environments. They were exposed to pollution from coal burning as well as other industrial pollution. In textile factories, the air was usually filled with fluff and microscopic fibers which got deep into workers' lungs. The noise of looms and other machines were sometimes deafening children. Often, workers were forced to take part of their wages in food, which was usually very poor quality. Workers were also forced to work long overtime shifts. Many were beaten by their owners. A lifetime in the mills was a hard life and often a short one. Conditions affected everyone, but they were more serious on children, stunting their growth and deforming their bodies.
Improvements for conditions. James Watt improved the steam engine in 1778. His steam engine used 75% less coal than the previous steam engines. His engines were used in the factories and mills to run the machinery. The factories and mills needed lots of workers, so lots of jobs were created. The steam power helped to improve printing processes. This was a huge expansion of publishing books and newspapers. This helped to increase the literacy of the people. In 1764, James Hargreaves invented the spinning jenny. It was the first practical spinning frame with multiple spindles. It was a simple wooden frame machine that only cost about 6 pounds. This invention was mainly used by home spinners. Robert Owen was known for his efforts in improving conditions at the New Lanark. He was one of the first to start the social movement in England. He joined the Manchester Board of Health to improve health and working conditions for workers in 1793.
There were various key and important inventions during the Industrial Revolution. Most were centered around farming and agriculture. Jethro Tull invented the seed drill, which saved workers tremendous amounts of time. Furthermore, Lord Townshend, but better known as Turnip Townshend, invented the 4-crop system, which was basically growing 4 crops in rotation, with one crop 1 year and the other crop the other year for 4 years. As you can see, the main focus during the Industrial Revolution was improving the speed of production and the efficiency of production in industrial areas of work, including agriculture. This has been Thomas, Sam, Justin, and myself, Shane, explaining the Industrial Revolution. Thanks for tuning in.